Donald Trump's trade war is in full motion once again. The U.S. president is now threatening a 50% tariff on all European Union imports starting June 1st. Meanwhile, he also wants to impose a 25% tariff on Apple unless iPhones start being made in the United States. The CBC's Mark Carcasole is looking into this story. What is the latest on the trade war front?
Hey folks, welcome back to True Voice, the channel where we speak truth to power with love for country and an eye on justice. If you believe patriotism means fighting for everyday Americans, not billionaire corporations, hit that subscribe button right now and join the movement. Because today, we're diving into yet another episode of Trump's trade tantrums, and this one could hit your pocket harder than you think. Let's watch.
Arthi, I hope you didn't think that the trade war cooled by any chance.
Nope, never.
Just like that old movie line, right? Just when you thought we were out, they pull us right back in. And so Donald Trump is issuing a set of threats again over Truth Social. It's important to note these are just threats. These aren't things he's actively saying he's going to implement, possibly, trade war tactics. But let's bring you the latest on what he's threatening, particularly first off with the European Union. He issued a tweet earlier today saying, quote, "The European Union, which was formed for the primary purpose of taking advantage of the United States on trade, has been very difficult to deal with." He says our discussions with them are going nowhere. Therefore, I am recommending a straight 50% tariff on the European Union starting on June 1st. There is no tariff if the product is built or manufactured in the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So the EU has been willing to negotiate with the United States, but they will not bend 100%. They will not, for instance, give up their various value-added taxes, which has been a sticking point for President Trump and various officials at the White House. Now, with Trump backing down on some of his previous threats and even speaking positively about trade discussions, it gave the impression that perhaps things were cooling on the tariff front, but obviously he hasn't completely forgotten about these things, and he's back at it again. Senator Jeanne Shaheen spoke with reporters in the United States about this situation. Tariffs coming up again. She's based in New Hampshire. She says, talking to her constituents, she's finding that tariffs would just hurt the little guy.
Plus the impact that it's going to have on consumers and businesses. What I'm hearing from business in New Hampshire is their very real concern about tariffs and what it means for their cost of doing business, what it means for their ability to get supplies, materials that are part of their supply chain. It's having a huge impact.
Now, the EU is a major trading partner with the U.S. They have a relationship worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're not taking this lightly. They have prepared in advance, if these tariff talks don't go well, a slate of about $100 billion worth of retaliatory tariffs, Arthi.
And in terms of that reaction to when we're talking about the EU, the French trade minister, of course, saying that all of this is unhelpful, this rhetoric from the U.S. president. And to your point, on social media, they say we are maintaining the same line, de-escalation, but we are ready to respond. So that is very much sort of in play as you're monitoring that. How are the markets reacting to all of this news?
Well, in addition to the threat against Apple of 25% tariffs if they don't build in the U.S. instead of India, there's just an overall bad reaction on the markets. Well, let's. I guess the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange kind of tells the tale. There we go. Everybody is happy, cheering, clapping, members of the Navy, and then we see a minus 1.16% opening for the New York Stock Exchange. That has slightly climbed, however, though, since then, certainly. But there have been impacts around the world. Again, small, but sufficient nonetheless. Indexes in Germany and Italy dropped 3% in early trading. The European Stock 600 dropped 2%, but has since rebounded slightly. Even in the UK, which isn't even in the EU, saw a 1% dip in the market. We look at the Dow Jones now. You can see it's rebounded slightly, down less than 1% at this point. The TSX has remained fairly stable today. None of this news particularly relates directly to Canada, so but we'll see how things go through the day, Arthi.
Lots of impact with tariff talk. Thanks for this, Mark. That's the CBC's Mark Carcasole.
So, Trump is threatening a 50% tariff on all EU imports and a 25% tariff on iPhones, unless Apple starts making them right here in the U.S. At first glance, you might think, hey, bringing jobs back sounds patriotic, right? But let's actually break this down like grown-ups. 1. This isn't a strategy, it's a tweet. Once again, Trump's announcing major global economic threats on Truth Social like it's a fan forum. No coordination, no consultation, just vibes and ego. 2. Tariffs or taxes. Don't let the spin fool you. When Trump says 50% on EU goods, that's not charging France or Germany. That's charging you when you buy a car, a bottle of wine, or a phone. 3. Small businesses will suffer. Senator Jeanne Shaheen nailed it. These tariffs hit small manufacturers and mom-and-pop shops the hardest. Supply chains get choked. Costs go up. And who eats it? Working people. Not Apple. not Amazon, not Wall Street. 4. Retaliation is real. The EU is already prepping $100 billion in counter tariffs. You think this is going to scare them into submission? No, it's going to spiral. This is how trade wars hurt farmers, factory workers, and families. 5. This isn't about workers, it's about power. If Trump really cared about American jobs, he'd support unionization at Amazon and Apple. He'd push for federal jobs guarantee. He'd fight for green energy manufacturing in the Midwest. But no, this is just about control. Now let's talk about Apple. Trump says he'll slap a 25% tariff unless iPhones are made in the US instead of India. Look, I'm all for rebuilding domestic manufacturing, but let's be real. That takes investment, not intimidation. You can't bully billion-dollar multinationals into doing the right thing. You legislate. You regulate. You incentivize labor, not stock buybacks. And let's not forget, Trump gave Apple a massive tax cut. So now, he wants to play tough guy when it's politically convenient? Come on, that's not leadership, that's performance. And the markets? They tanked. Europe dipped, the Dow dropped, and even the UK, which isn't part of the EU, took a hit. That's what happens when you run a government by tweet. Chaos. If you're invested in a 401k, if you have a pension, if your job depends on imports, this hurts you. This isn't America first. This is billionaires first. And working people last. Listen, I love this country. That's why I refuse to let it be run like a reality show. Real patriotism means building an economy that works for everyone, not picking fights that make headlines and break wallets. So if you're with me, if you want a stronger, fairer America, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment. Share your story. This is True Voice, and we're just getting louder. Until next time, stay sharp, stay loud, and stay true.